United States versus Combs. Dear Judge Submaranian, on behalf of Mr. Combs, we respectfully request that the court strongly recommend a designation facility to the Bureau of Prisons in Mr. Combs' judgment. In order to address drug abuse issues and to maximize family visitation and rehabilitation efforts, we request that the court strongly recommend to the Bureau of Prisons that Mr. Combs be placed at FCI Fort Dix for RDAP purposes and any other available educational and occupational programs. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully submitted, Teeny Garrigus. Now, what Judge Submaranian did, he approved the RDAP program, which means wherever Puffy goes and does his time, he'll automatically be enrolled in the RDAP program, which takes a year off of your sentence. What Judge Submaranian did not do was guarantee that Puffy will be at FCI Fort Dix. I mean, just realistically speaking, even if he did write that in his ruling, it still wasn't a guarantee. Because at the end of the day, the Bureau of Prisons, they decide that. The only thing that the judge can guarantee is that Puffy receives the drug program, the RDAP program. So that will take a year off of his sentence. We'll take it down to 38 months. With that being said, jail credit, Puffy, he actually looking good.
On the Diddy file, of course, there was yet another filing. You'd think that it ain't over till it's over. First, Judge Subramanian declined to name in his judgment that Diddy wants Fort Dix. Instead, Diddy wants the New York area, unless he chooses very soon, before the judgment comes out, to say he wants another place. Maybe that would be Florida. He said he's not going to name a particular institution. There are judges that say that, and it's definitely the case that it's up to BOP regardless, including as to region. But there are judges in this district that do name particular institutions. They even ask, which one do you want? Sheridan, FCI, stuff like that. So there's no commonality. I wouldn't read anything into it, but it did happen. And there's also a forfeiture order. But since the forfeiture is limited to the counts of conviction, the Mann Act, it's largely electronics found in hotel rooms in New York, some in Miami. Not, some were surprised that it wasn't, but he wasn't convicted of RICO, and so they couldn't go for the big forfeiture that they would have been gunning for. It didn't happen. So there's that. Now, yesterday on the Diddy docket, we're still on it because the filings are coming in every day. He, after being sentenced to 50 months and after apparently a reach out to the administration seeking a pardon, he asked for Fort Dix, where he'll be able to get the RDAP treatment, which may take a full year off the sentencing. It's for nonviolent defenders. That's how it's described, which arguably, other than the acquitted conduct, he would qualify for. The government thinks so. They wrote in. They were given until 5 p.m. yesterday to oppose or not Combs' lawyer's request. And they wrote in and said, we do not oppose. And also, the $5,000 fine under the Victims Act, please don't impose it because the law expired on September 30th. I don't think it's related necessarily to the shutdown. I think it's just the law expired by its own terms. Maybe not. In any event, they don't want the $5,000. So there's that.
Send the kind of message that he wanted to send, that violence against women must be met with real accountability. And so he sentenced Sean Combs to 4 years in prison. That's not as much as federal prosecutors here wanted. They wanted 11 years in prison, reminding the judge that Sean Combs has a penchant for violence and abuse, pointing to 2016 hotel security video showing Combs attacking Cassie Ventura. Combs says he knows that video intimately. He apologized to Cassie Ventura. The judge said 11 years was unreasonable, but 4 years is just the right amount, the judge said, to send a message to Sean Combs, to victims of domestic violence, that their accounts will be taken seriously. Whit?
Aaron, thanks. Let's go ahead and bring in a trial attorney and ABC News legal contributor, Brian Buckmeyer. Brian, we just heard Aaron lay out right there that the defense was hoping for 14 months in credit for time served. The prosecution wanted 11 years. So this is somewhere in the middle. Is this verdict what you expected?
It actually was not what I expected, and this is why I say that. The probation report said anywhere from 70 to 87 months, much higher than the 50 months that the judge gave. And understand, and I'll try to break down the math as best as I can, the judge understands the math of how this all works. With 50 months in the federal system, you only do 85% of that. So you take away about 8 months or so, that's 42 months. And don't forget that Sean Combs has already been sitting in MDC, the jail here in Brooklyn, New York, for 13 months. So you subtract 13 months even from that, you're looking at something like 2 years, maybe 3 years at the end of the day. The judge knew that and still gave this sentence. I think if you're Sean Combs and his defense team, a hard day, but overall a win for them.
Okay, Brian, stand by for us. So let's bring in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor and ABC News legal contributor Bernarda Villalona. And Bernarda, we also saw today some emotional testimony. We saw numerous children of Sean Diddy Combs speaking before the court. Combs himself saying that he's a changed man. There was this video that they put together talking about Combs being a family man, his impact on the community. How much of that do you think made a difference here in the judge's decision?
Well, today was definitely Judgment Day for Sean Diddy Combs. So what the judge told Sean Diddy Combs was like, look, in terms of your life work, of all the good you've done, in terms that you're a great father, it doesn't erase what I heard and what I saw during this 8-week trial. And what he heard and saw during this 8-week trial was one of Sean Diddy Combs taking advantage of Jane and Cassie by being violent to them, taking advantage of their emotions, having them engage in several sex acts, either by drugs or alcohol or by the manipulation. And the judge sent a message that, yes, you have family, yes, you have people that love you, but Jane and Cassie were victims, and victims should be accounted for, and someone should speak for the victims and deter this type of conduct. And that's why the judge didn't go with the 14th month recommendation by the defense, but instead handed down a sentence of 50 months, 4 years and 2 months, to show that this is accountability, this is deterrence, this is protecting the public, and this is what the verdict is going to be today. And when people remember Sean Diddy Combs, they know that he is a convicted felon sentenced to 50 months for his actions throughout a decade on women.
Diddy will reportedly be receiving rehabilitation during his sentence after being granted approval by Judge Arun Subramanian to be a participant in the Bureau of Prisons Residential Drug Abuse Program. This is the RDAP program. To simplify, we call it the drug program in federal prison. This program takes a year off of your sentence when completed. Puffy is sitting at 50 months right now, and this sentence could be reduced down to 38 months at the completion, which means technically Puffy could be home within 4 to 6 months. We all know his legal team reached out to the Trump administration for a pardon. So depending on how Trump wakes up and feels tomorrow, Puffy could be home tomorrow. With that being said, until the next one, I'm out. Y'all hit the like button, share, subscribe to stay notified. Always remember, build with quit. Peace.